Well, hey, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Full Frontal Living podcast. And if you're joining me on YouTube, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe below so you don't miss any episodes that come out. So today I'm going to be talking about how to keep your energy up while traveling after I just came back from a whirlwind trip to Disney, which was so fun and also so exhausting. But I'm currently also in prep for my first pro show with the WBFF in August. So that takes next level prep and planning to make sure that I stay on track. So if you're not familiar with that, I am a professional fitness competitor. So it's kind of like bodybuilding, but in high heels. This is my hobby that I do on the side where I get to tap into other wild parts of myself. So not only am I a coach supporting driven, ambitious women from around the globe, but I also switch into this amazing diva energy where I walk out on stage wearing my sparkly bikini and live my best life. And I like to talk about this as having range. All of us as individuals have this amazing range of all these parts of ourselves. And the older I've gotten and the more coaching that I do, a large part of what I support women around is embracing all these various parts of themselves so that we can get out of this box or mold that we've put ourselves in, which is often robbing us of the joy and the fulfillment that we want to have in our lives. So yeah, this is going to be a kind of an interesting episode because I want to give you some ways of thinking about food and eating out that maybe you haven't before. But, what is not lost on me is that, it's 2023 right now. We've come off of a couple long years of this kind of pandemic living where so many people were in tremendous fear about their health and the health of the people that they loved. And as we've all integrated back into regular life, what I find fascinating is that although a couple of years ago, so many people were afraid they were going to die, most people have just gone back to the habits that were creating illness in the first place. So on a recent trip to Mexico, I did an Instagram story where I really talked about, I was amazed to see people in the gym no longer wiping down their equipment and people drinking their faces off around the pool and overindulging. And I understand that when we go on vacation, we're going to probably eat or drink a little bit more than we have, or, open up our lives a little bit differently. However, I just find it so ironic that at a time where we should all be really focusing on creating better wellness for ourselves, most of society is still really kind of working from this place of trying to avoid illness versus creating wellness. And it was very frustrating for me through the pandemic years because health and wellness is one of my top values. I've always been committed to it. And it was just interesting to see how people were showing up in the world and how we really haven't done anything, excuse me, to educate people on what real health is. And it's not just our physical health, but it's also our emotional health, how we think and feel about things. So going to Disney, of course, is a really fun place. There's lots of, like giant turkey legs. And all I could think of is like, well, what do they do with the rest of the turkey if people are walking around with these turkey legs? But again, as I said, being in prep, I didn't want to be eating out because I have to be very specific about the type of foods I'm eating and when I'm eating, because it's like getting on stage is like following a recipe so that we create the exact outcome that I want. So I can show up on stage as my best. So traveling can get a little bit, I don't want to say tricky, but it's a little bit more involved than when I'm in off season and have a little bit more flexibility. Regardless of if I'm on season or off season, I do track my food because then I have full reign to choose whatever I want. This is the joy of tracking macros. You're really always in the driver's seat. And I'm not here to debate, like some people want to do intuitive eating. That's fine. Whatever works for you. There are more than, there's many paths to get to similar destinations, and you get to decide what feels best for you. What it really comes down to, though, is are you eating in a way that supports how you want to feel? So the way I think about going on vacation is I go on vacation for my life, but I don't go on vacation for my lifestyle. So consider this. Would you ever go on vacation and no longer brush your teeth? Or would you stop having showers? I view food as just another type of hygiene. It's the hygiene for my body, because how my body feels will be reflected in how I eat. Because if you're eating crappy foods, you're not going to feel great. And what most of you don't recognize is the type of food you eat really impacts your mental well-being as well. Yeah, most of you haven't really eaten healthy enough to understand how much junk food really impacts your moods. So knowing that I was going to be in Disney, knowing that I didn't want to fill myself full of junk food, it took a little bit more organization. But the way that I look at it is there's always a meme going around social media that says, choose your hard. I would rather put time and energy into making sure I'm taking care of my physical and my emotional well-being than put time and energy into managing the itty bitty shitty committee between my ears who wants to be critical. And I know if you're following me, most of the women who follow me struggle with how they think and feel about their bodies. So that in itself will cost you way more energy managing your thoughts about how you're feeling about your body, or if you're not feeling well after you've eaten food that, isn't the best for you. So this is what I mean about choosing your hard. I'm willing to put the time and the energy and the effort into prepping some of my food because the outcome for me is way more beneficial. It makes my life easier when I am taking care of myself in the way that supports how I want to feel. That creates ease in my life. If I'm not, it makes my life harder. And it's making most of your lives harder as well, because you get on this roller coaster for many of you of, dieting or not dieting. And again, just being really hard and critical on your body. So how I like to travel is I will always book, if possible, I will stay at a place where I have access to a kitchen. And now with Instacart, I don't have that in Canada, but in the US, my goodness, I was able to order on Instacart and have all my groceries show up within about 2 hours, which was phenomenal. So I'd planned out my meals. I knew what I wanted to be eating. I had, my Ziploc containers and stuff with me. I knew we could pack food to bring into the park. And it was literally just a matter of cooking up some chicken. I also made some rice. We got some bagels. We got almond butter, like kind of the staples, right? Making sure I had proteins, carbohydrates, and fats so that I could fill in my macro numbers, but keeping it as simple as possible, right? So getting things like hard-boiled eggs, Greek yogurt is a really easy trick for me, bringing along some protein powder, fruit, and of course, picking up vegetables, whether it be salads or cucumbers or carrots, whatever your fancy is. But that is how simple it can be. So in the end, it saved me time, because we didn't really have to wait in line to get food at Disney, because everything at Disney you wait in line for. Saved me money because I wasn't spending money on crappy food that I didn't really enjoy, that wasn't going to fill me up in the way I wanted to be filled up. And after putting in 2 14-hour days and logging over 50,000 steps, I knew that I had fueled my body properly to really be in a great mood, to have lots of energy trucking around the park, because we just wanted to go from morning until night. So what I want you to recognize is how you fuel your body is going to give you the energy you need for travel. But if you are, like I said, putting back a bunch of garbage food and not drinking enough water, you are going to find yourself depleted when you're traveling. And I don't ever like to be left to the mercy of well, I'll just figure it out when I get there. That may work in off season for me, but not necessarily for on season. And the truth be told, because I've been eating this way for so long, I can pretty much find healthy food anywhere I go because I've trained my brain to look for it. But most of you haven't. And when you get to a place of being over hungry, so I've talked about HALT in earlier videos and on the podcast, Hungry, Angry, Lonely, Tired. When you are already tired and now you've gone too long without eating, you are going to be triggered into wanting to eat crappy food because it's easy. I mean, I'm sure you felt that before, where you're hangry and you don't even care. You'll just eat anything. So to avoid that is to have healthy meals to go with you. So really consider the next time you're traveling, getting intentional about how you want to feel on your trip and what little hacks you could use to make sure that you've got the healthy foods you need. Now, you don't even need to stay at a hotel with a kitchen. I've made it work in hotels with just the mini fridge. I don't get as many groceries. And in that case, if there's a Whole Foods near, you can buy your food already cooked. I mean, you can go to the grocery store now, buy your vegetables already cut up. You can buy rice already cooked. You can buy chicken already cooked. Like, you can buy hard-boiled eggs already peeled. It is so easy if you choose to allow it to be easy. But if you make eating healthy hard, whether you're home or traveling, then it's going to feel hard. So your attitude is going to determine how this unfolds for you. So I want you to consider what it is you value, because we will always do what our values are. So whatever your values are, you're going to be taking the actions that support those values. So if you are saying that you value your health and your wellness, but everything in your life shows you that you're doing the opposite of that, then the truth is you don't value your health and your wellness. And I often see this where people say, no, I do, I value my health. But then when I look at their habits and behaviors, nothing aligns with that as being a value. So that doesn't mean you can't change it. You absolutely can. I used to say that I wanted to value my money and financial security and all this kind of stuff around my money. But when I actually looked at it, I wasn't taking any action that supported me truly valuing my money. I left money lying around all over the place. I never opened my bills. I didn't pay things on time. I never checked my bank account balance. It was so glaringly obvious to me that I did not value wealth and abundance. Well, now all my behaviors and habits support me actually having that as a value. And the same is true for your health and your wellness. If you say you value health and wellness, but when you travel, you just throw everything out the window and just eat whatever the hell you want and feel crappy, then what you're saying is you don't really value your health and wellness. If you keep saying that you're going to go to the gym, you're going to get into an exercise routine, you want more energy, you want to feel better, but you're never taking action on those, what you're telling yourself is you don't really value your health and wellness. And one of the things that the pandemic really taught me is, although many people say they value their health and their wellness, their actions don't actually support that, or they have a very skewed idea on what health and wellness actually is. And I think that that's a large part of the problem that's going on in our society is we've turned this into some complicated thing, and people are genuinely confused about what true health and wellness is. And I think part of that is because if you truly value health and wellness, it comes with so much personal responsibility. And as you've heard me talk about time and time again, one of the things that most people want to avoid is being personally responsible for themselves, because it's so much easier to blame other people or try and look for solutions outside yourself. But the truth is, if you truly want to live a healthy lifestyle, you truly want to be a well individual, mentally, physically, spiritually, that is an inside job. That is 100% an inside job. And when you really take responsibility for that, what you'll find is you have more than enough energy to do all the things that you want to do and that you love. And, part of that emotional wellness, I'm going to end the podcast on this, part of that emotional wellness is really making sure that you create space for fun and play and pleasure. So you don't necessarily have to jump on a plane to go to Disneyland to do that. But it was such a reminder of when we just get out from behind our screens and we go do things that inspire us, that thrill us, that make us feel alive, that fills up our energy. And I know that if you have been listening to this podcast regularly and you are a high achieving A-type personality, often play and having fun goes to the bottom of the list because it wasn't really modeled for you that there was value in that. So you know that there's value in it, but it's also the last thing on your to-do list. It's kind of like when I get this accomplished, then I'll go do that. And I just really want to remind you that if you are struggling around your energy and you're wanting to feel better, play needs to be a priority. Getting out and living your life, reconnecting with the things that bring you joy, being intentional about it, and prioritizing it, prioritizing your time to have fun. So if you do have the opportunity to get on a plane and go to Disney, highly recommend, even with all the long lineups. It was just a really great experience to enjoy all the laughter and, just being around a lot of people. And of course, the rides, they do it up so good at Disney. So anyways, that is how I travel and maintain, my eating, my physique, my, working out. I actually took time off when I'd planned it. I'd gotten all my workouts in so I could just be off when I was at Disney, although 50,000 plus steps isn't really being off. But I always make sure that wherever I'm staying has a gym as well so that I can get my workouts. In. So everything goes hand in hand. And since I've been home, I've also given myself extra time to recuperate and give myself a little more rest. So hopefully this is helpful for you. Please feel free to reach out to me there in the comments below if you're watching this on YouTube, or you can drop me a line on Instagram or just send me an email. I'll put all the information that you need in the show notes. And I hope you are having a fabulous week, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. If you are interested in learning more about coaching, I am enrolling clients now for June. Like, what month is it? For June of 2023. I will put the link to apply. You can grab your free call. We can connect and see if I am going to be the right fit for you and you are going to be the right fit for me. All right. Have a great afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are tuning in from in the world. And I will catch you on the next episode.